Well, guys, apparently James Mangold's Star Wars movie is still going to get made. Now, I have no idea when this movie is going to be coming out. Probably like 2028 or something like that. I'm not even sure. Don't even know if he has a script. But his Star Wars movie is supposed to be about the birth of the Jedi. Now, on paper, that sounds like a very interesting story to me that I would like to be told. But there seems to be a problem already. James Mangold says he doesn't want his Star Wars movie to be handcuffed by George Lucas's lore. My question is, has he been paying attention since 2012? Has Disney actually been handcuffed by George Lucas's lore? Have they been following George Lucas's Star Wars, the blueprint? No. And they paid the price for it. These movies suck. I mean, like I said, I like the idea of digging into the birth of the Jedi. This is supposed to be like 25,000 years in the past, something like that. I don't really know. Now, James Mangold is a good director. He made Logan. Like that movie. But he also made Walt Disney's Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. The movie was terrible. What do you think of that movie? Dial of Destiny, Indiana Jones.
It's not good.
It's not good at all. It's awful. Obviously, I don't think he followed George Lucas's Indiana Jones lore in that movie either. Indiana Jones was a side character in his own movie. I mean, if you're making a movie, wouldn't you actually, George Lucas established Star Wars world, wouldn't you actually want to follow the lore?
Yes.
I mean, tell me, why in the world would he actually want to deviate away from George Lucas? That just doesn't make any sense. Here's his exact words here. He said, quote, "To me, the really important aspects are the freedom to make something new," he said. George Lucas's storytelling pattern for Star Wars was meant to be like poetry, giving it structure and depth. Mangold apparently wants to defy this traditional method to work in something original, as he put it. That's why Star Wars Dawn of the Jedi is going to be a prequel. James Mangold told MovieWeb that the film will take place thousands of years before the main Star Wars story. Quote, "It's an area and a playground that I've always wanted to explore and that I was inspired by as a teenager. I'm not that interested in being handcuffed by so much lore at this point that is almost immovable." Wow. So apparently, I guess he was a Star Wars fan. He's talking about this since he was a teenager. What are your thoughts on this overall?
Maybe he wants to be the second George Lucas to write Star Wars, but with that. Like, he wants to be like George Lucas, but he wants to be the one to create the beginning of Star Wars.
Well, nobody's stopping him from creating that. But as far as, like the feel of Star Wars, the flow of Star Wars, that should be in there.
Yes, but I think he wants to start something new, more creative.
Yeah, it's going to be something new. I mean, this is uncharted territory right here. This is like Dawn of the Jedi.
Yes, but the point is George Lucas already created Star Wars, and even if you're a Star Wars fan or not a Star Wars fan but love Star Wars, I mean, it just doesn't make sense to create all the beginning, the birth of the Jedi, without any connection to George Lucas Star Wars. That just doesn't make any sense.
There's a whole bunch of stuff to do with the Force that George never put into the movies. Dave Filoni has talked about talking to George about all this stuff about the Jedi and the Force. I mean, it almost seems like Disney believes that George Lucas is dead. George Lucas is not dead. If I'm James Mangold, I'm going to George and I'm going to get the blueprint from George Lucas on this. Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask him, how did the Force come to be? How did the Jedi come to be? That's what I would actually ask George Lucas.
This reminds me that, okay, when George Lucas made The New Hope,
yeah,
and there was no Anakin in it. There was only Darth Vader. And when I saw The New Hope...
Well, actually, there was. This isn't in the movie. George had already had a whole story planned out that we saw play out in a sequel of movies, because he was going to have the son redeem the father, I believe, at the end of the first movie.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen like that. So,
but I never understand how he turned into a Darth Vader until when I see the prequel.
Yeah.
And it does connect it to how Anakin turned to Darth Vader.
Yeah. And everybody knew the general story that he was on a lava planet and that he basically burst into flames. Everybody knew that already.
Yeah.
I mean, George planned things out. James Mangold needs to sit down with George, let George tell him the story of the origin of the Force, the origin of the Jedi, to learn the ins and outs of the Force, and then make his script based off of that. Mm-hmm. But I don't think he's going to, he's not going to do that.
If he wants to do Star Wars in his own way within George Lucas, then it will be a new Star Wars.
Yeah, it's not going to work. It'll just be typical Disney Star Wars.
Yeah.
That's what it'll be. Like I said, in theory, sounds good, Origin of the Jedi, but I'm not confident that it'll actually be any good. You're trying to escape from George Lucas, the man that created it, the man that knows everything about the Force and the Jedi, but you don't want nothing to do with him? Yeah. Doesn't make any sense.
Won't work.
Yeah, not going to work. But there you have it, man. I'm going to leave it right there. We'll be back tomorrow with another video. Till then, be safe.
Goodbye.